Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Sumac virtual training webinar. Thank you very much for signing on today. My name is Penny, and I'm a customer success specialist here at Silent Partner. I will be your moderator for today's session. Today, we'll talk all about memberships, entering and renewing memberships, web integration for memberships, membership preferences, reporting, and we'll be showing you some of the new membership features we released just last week, so you can see how to incorporate them into how you use Sumac. As always, before we begin the training, I want to take care of some housekeeping. We have all of your participant microphones muted for today, but we do encourage you to reach out through the Q&A function if you have any questions. You should see along the bottom of your screen a Q&A icon. If questions come in during the session, I will do my best to answer them, or I might take your name and write down your question and we'll follow up with you after the session today. As always, we are recording, and the recording will be made available to all Sumac clients through our online support portal sometime within the next couple of days. If you want to share today's session with any of your colleagues who couldn't attend, or if you just want to rewatch in the coming weeks, then by all means, you can access the recording at any time. So without further ado, I'm introducing Megan, who is our host and will be guiding us through today's session. So take it away, Megan.
Thanks, Penny. There we go. Thanks, Penny. Hi, I'm everyone. I'm Megan, and I am the VP of Customer Success here at Silent Partner Software, and I will be your Sumac tour guide today as we go through the memberships area. So in this webinar, we are going to be talking about managing memberships in Sumac. And to get started, I want to actually clarify what a membership is in Sumac and explain what style of membership program we're going to be talking about today and which we're not. To be clear, this webinar is going to be focused on the memberships add-on specifically. We have some organizations using Sumac who have a really simple membership program where they just have, say, one type of member, and basically either you are a member or you're not. And this is usually a case where there's something in the charity's bylaws that says that you have to have members, but it's really basic. We also work with some organizations where the term member actually refers to someone who's made a donation to the organization. So in either of those cases, Sumac can actually keep track of those kinds of memberships with just the basic CRM, but that is not what we're going to be focused on today. This webinar is focused on the memberships add-on, which is necessary when you have a membership program with different tiers of membership, different fees associated with each tier, and where your members will receive unique benefits based on the type of membership that they have with you. And today we're going to get started in the contact list because every member of your organization must be a contact in the database before you can start recording any membership information for them. So I'll open my contact list. And for my example today, I'm going to use Tom Hanks. So I will sort by last name and just start typing in his last name so that Sumac can scroll through and find him for me. So there's Tom. When I double click his name, that opens his contact record, and I'm going to jump right over to the History tab. You'll see here in the History tab that Tom has a couple of membership records listed here. You'll also notice that they appear in gray, which is a nice visual indicator that both of these memberships have expired. So it's very easy to see from somebody's History tab exactly what their current status is as a member with your organization. Each membership record describes the information for one time period, usually a year, during which Tom was a current active member of your organization. And each time someone purchases a membership or renews it for subsequent years, you'll create a new membership record for them. By recording each renewal separately as its own record, instead of just keeping track of whether somebody is a member or not, you accumulate a much more rich source of information that's very useful for future campaigns and memberships drives. It also provides you with far more interesting and valuable data to report on, like who renewed and when, who changed their membership type over time, and who did not. So That is something to know right away about the membership add-on, is that when you are using this, each instance of somebody being a member, having purchased a membership or renewing that membership for a subsequent year, each of those instances will be their own record. So you've got a much more rich source of data. So now that we've talked a little bit about the nature of membership we're going to be focusing on today and why it's more helpful to record each membership as its own record, let's do an example of entering a new membership. So let's say that Tom has called in and wants to buy a new membership. I'm going to cancel out of his record here. Most of the time, if someone is calling in, or hopefully one day in the not too distant future, actually coming in physically to purchase their membership, you'll enter this from the contact list. And doing it this way makes it really easy for you to quickly see if the member is already in your database, or if you need to create a new contact record for them first. And of course, in our case, we can see that Tom is already in the database. So I've got his name selected already, and I can click Add to Contact. And I'm going to be making a new membership here. And that brings up our membership record. So you can see right away that it's filled in Tom's name for us. And you do have the ability to link other contacts to the membership record as well. You can link additional members, member 2, 3, 4. I believe you can link up to 5 additional member fields here. That's really helpful if you're doing, say, a family membership and you want to list a bunch of different family members who are all going to be connected or associated with this particular membership. It's nice to be able to link their records in here. Otherwise, if that's not necessary for you, you can actually hide these additional member fields completely. If you don't need them, you can hide them so that they don't show. And there is also space for a billing contact. And you have the option to flag this as a gift membership in cases where perhaps this billing contact is purchasing the membership as a gift for a friend or a family member. So in that case, the billing contact gets entered as the person who is paying for the membership. And the member field would be the person who's going to be using and acting as that member moving forward. Now, of course, we've got the field for the membership type. The membership type controls a lot of the other fields in the membership record. So when you choose the membership type, let's say that Tom is buying an individual membership today. And by the way, these are customizable. This is all going to be populated with your own list of membership types. That's a lookup list in Sumac, so you can create your own membership types according to whatever is appropriate for your own organization's membership program. But I'll choose individual for my example. So you'll see that as soon as I chose that membership type, Sumac has done a few things for me. It's filled in the start and end date, the payment date, it's updated the fees and the account code. When you define those membership types, you define all these other default pieces of information. So it's just much faster and more repeatable for you to be entering these memberships in the future. You won't have to later, remember, oh, okay, calculating, is this a 6-month membership? Is this a full year membership? How much did this one cost again? All of that just gets associated with the membership type, and Sumac remembers it for you. So now the next field here at the start and the end date, this represents the period of time during which the membership is going to be active. And by default, when you are entering a new membership, Sumac will always choose today's date as the start date. And based on your membership type's definition, it'll select the end date accordingly. So if you've defined that this is a 1-year membership or that it has another default end date or duration, Sumac updates the end date accordingly. And it will also fill in the payment date for you. And of course, that's going to get filled in as today's date as a default as well. You can update this particular one if need be, but I do want to say I really like to make sure that this payment date does get filled in because it makes it easy to search for later on. Someone might be phoning in to renew their membership a little bit early, or they may be late in renewing their membership, so they're calling in a few weeks after it's already expired. But this payment date tracks the day that the membership actually gets paid for. Personally, as a user of Sumac, I have often searched by that payment date because that's what my accounting program is going to reference. So if I need to track something back again later, having that date that it actually got paid for is really helpful. So like I say, it gets filled in as today's date by default for you, but it is an important field to make sure it always does get filled in. The fee is defined based on the membership type, of course, and you do have space for entering a donation amount as well. So if the member would like to make a donation to your organization at the same time as purchasing this membership, you can fill that in here. Sumac will incorporate the donation amount in with the total amount for the membership purchase. You can do one payment for both items, and Sumac will save the membership record and the donation record for you. Now, moving down a little bit further, I want to point out some details about these checkboxes down here. And this first one here, Renewal Complete, I want to talk about this one a little bit because I find many users do get tripped up on this field, what it means and how it's supposed to be used. So the purpose of this Renewal Complete checkbox is to help keep track of which membership records have finished the renewal cycle and which have not. So to get a little deeper into what that means, we have some organizations who actually renew all of their members as soon as the previous year's membership has expired. So a very good example of when this gets applied is when it's an association style of membership, where your members are companies or entities who are likely to renew their membership with you essentially as long as they're in business. These charities will renew all of their memberships as soon as they expire, and then they can run a mail merge on those new membership records and send out a notice to all the members saying something like, your 2021-22 membership fees are now due. Here's how to send in payment. And then as those payments come in, those clients can set this Renewal Complete flag on each of the new membership records to mark that the member has actually followed through and completed that renewal cycle for the next membership year. So that's how this Renewal Complete flag is intended to be used. But having said all of that, if your organization is running a more individual-based membership program, more like the example I've got here, where you've got kind of adult members, senior students, something like that, and it's unlikely that you're going to be following that sort of renew in advance process, you don't have to worry about this field. Basically, you're more likely to notify your members before their membership expires, encourage them to go online or phone in and renew. So this Renewal Complete flag is just less helpful for you. Essentially, if there's a membership in the database, it means that the member has renewed in your case. So if that sounds like you, as I say, you don't really have to worry about that Renewal Complete flag. And in fact, you can actually turn it off in the membership preferences area so that you don't see it anymore and you don't have to worry about this particular field. This next one, Auto Renew checkbox, this is a new feature that we released in our release last Wednesday. If your organization is set up for payment processing with our payment processing partner, IATS, this auto renew feature allows Sumac to automatically renew a membership after it expires without you having to do additional work. So if anyone attending is using the auto processing feature in our Pledges add-on, this auto renew feature works a lot like that feature in Pledges. You can allow your members to opt in for automatic renewal, and this way, rather than you having to send a renewal notice to all your members in advance of their expiry, or worry about whether or not members are actually going to follow through with that renewal, anyone who's already opted in for the auto renewal option will be renewed automatically without you doing extra work. So the way that happens is each day when you log into Sumac, Sumac will check if there are any memberships that expired today. And if yes, it will check if any of them have this check mark next to auto renew here in the membership record. And if yes, Sumac is going to renew that membership. It'll process any payment associated with the renewal, and it also sends the member a confirmation email that their membership was renewed successfully. So like I say, all of that happens without you having to do any additional work. It's a really handy feature, and offering that auto renewal on memberships is a great way to improve your own membership retention rate. This feature does need to be turned on in your database preferences, and you'll want to set a confirmation message for the auto renewal email that'll get sent to members after it's done. But we'll come back and talk more about the auto renew feature a little bit more when we get into the preferences area. But this is essentially where in the membership record, you're going to see the indication that this member has opted in to be renewed automatically or not. Now, these next fields are for cases when a member has canceled their membership in advance of their expiry. So most of the time, I find members will lapse more likely than actively cancel. So they'll just fail to renew their membership. But every once in a while, someone might actually contact you and cancel their membership in advance. And that provides you with really useful information about why someone might choose not to stay a member of your organization. And if that happens, it's great to have a place in the membership record to store that cancellation info. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you do have someone connecting with you and saying they want to cancel their membership, you would set this canceled check mark here to identify that they've made that request and record the date that that request came in. This makes it easy to search for and report on canceled memberships in the future. And then finally, we've got this text box here where you can record a note for the cancellation. And usually we'll see a note here describing why someone has canceled, or occasionally I've seen an organization will copy and paste the cancellation message from a member if it's something that was maybe received for email, for example. You can put all of that information here so that you've got a reference to go back to, be able to report on the number of cancellations you've received, and again, pull that really useful information about why someone might choose not to stay a member with your organization. Now, last but certainly not least, the next field I want to point out here is this section over here for allocating payments to accounts. This is used when you are reconciling your membership data in Sumac with your accounting software like QuickBooks or Simply Accounting. If you've attended any of our previous webinars, you probably already know that Sumac can integrate with external accounting software. QuickBooks and Sage or Simply Accounting are both, I think there are two most popular ones for what our clients are using today. And essentially the way that Sumac will integrate with those external accounting programs is by setting up the account codes here in Sumac to match the ones that you've got in your accounting software, so that when it comes time to send everything over to QuickBooks, all the records are going to be allocated to the right account code. And again, when you define your membership type, you also can tell Sumac which account code is associated with memberships of that type, so that Sumac can take care of allocating all of this for you at the time that the membership is saved. You don't have to worry about remembering which account code you're supposed to use or how much goes into account 1 versus account 2. That, by the way, is why you'll see a few different account codes here. We have some organizations where, depending on the type of membership, parts of the fee will go to one account and parts of the fee will be delegated to another account. So it just lets you set up whatever is appropriate for your own accounting preferences. But we've got all of that default set up here, so I can click OK to save this membership. And the next thing that Sumac does is it's going to prompt me for payment information. So again, if you're set up for payment processing, it'll prompt you for that information right now when we're saving the membership. So if we want to say that, like, let's say Tom has called in over the phone and he wants to pay by credit card, I can choose the payment type here and enter the credit card details. So give me just one moment. I've got a test credit card I can use as my example. We click process and Sumac will send the processing over there. Now it's just a test credit card, so I didn't get a successful process. I got an error message, but this is to be expected with a test credit card. In a real scenario, when you're actually processing a legitimate credit card, it's going to go through, save the membership, and save the payment into Sumac for you. For now, I'm just going to click cancel on the payment, but Sumac will save the membership. We won't worry about saving the payment right now, but there we go. Everything's been saved into the database. And then if we go back into Tom's history tab, I'm just going to pull up his record here. You'll see there's the membership that we just created. He's been renewed for the next year. So what happens now, a year from now, when this membership expires? How are we going to make sure that Tom knows that he needs to renew his membership? Well, we did talk about the auto renew feature a little bit. Sumac can automatically renew Tom's membership for you if he's opted in for that. But what if members have not requested the automatic renewal? What about members who prefer to go online and process their own renewal, or would rather call in and renew through your office instead? The basic process that you should be following for membership renewals is, 1, let your members know that it's time to renew their membership. Let them know that the renewal is coming up. 2, you want to provide them with their options for where and how they can renew. And 3, be prepared to renew manually if that's how they choose to renew. So let's start with letting your members know that their membership is up for renewal. You will have your own guidelines internally telling you how far in advance you want to notify your members of their upcoming renewal. But usually I find organizations will send their renewal notices out at least 1 month in advance of the membership expiration date. So let's use that as our example. To find members who are going to expire in a month, we want to go over to our memberships list to run a search for that. So I'm going to cancel out of here and I'll close the contact list just to free up some space on my screen. And under the specialized heading, that is where we find our memberships add-on. So that brings up our memberships list. And up here at the top, I'm going to run a search. And I want to find memberships that are going to be expiring in a designated date range. So I choose that option here. And I'm going to set it's the end of May, so I actually probably want to find people who are going to expire in July if I'm going to send out my renewal notices about a month in advance. So we'll look for people who will be expiring as of July 1st up to the end of that month. So we set our date range here and click search. So there we go, we've run our search and we found a few contacts, or pardon me, a few memberships that are going to expire in the month of July 2021. So I've got a short list to work with. Likely I'm going to send my renewal notice out as an email under the mailing menu along the left. I mean, you could do it by print mail, but I find more and more, it's much more common to see that renewal notices are being sent by email instead. So we're going to run a bulk email to send out that renewal notice. It says no records are selected, so all 5 are going to be processed. That's what I want. I click OK. Now, this window that appears here, I want to explain this a little bit because, again, it's one of those cases where I find sometimes people aren't always sure what exactly Sumac is asking them here, so I thought I'd explain it. What Sumac is asking is that it's letting you know that when you are sending out this renewal notice, you can email just the member themselves, or you could email people who are related to those members as well. So this is really useful for things like a family membership or an organization membership, where you may actually want to send that renewal notice to a few people to make sure that it gets seen. You know, maybe the member field holds the name of one of the parents, but you want to make sure that the other parent or their spouse gets the renewal notice as well. Or the member is the organization, but you want to make sure that their employees are notified of the upcoming expiration as well, so that that renewal notice gets seen and you'll more likely get the renewal come through. If you want to do something like this, Sumac uses the other related contacts communication preferences to know which contacts it should include in the renewal notice. So that's what this field is for down here. It's letting you choose a communication preference that would indicate that somebody also would want this renewal notice. If you're doing something like that, I do recommend having a dedicated communication preferences called renewal notice or something to that effect, so that you can choose it here and click OK. Alternatively, though, if this is not relevant to you, don't worry about it. Just leave this field blank. You don't have to worry about choosing anything here. You can just go straight to clicking OK, and then it's going to bring up our bulk email window here. So this is where we would choose the template for the renewal notice. I'm not going to actually get into the details of building a template in this webinar. We do have how-to resources on our support portal for building templates and sending out bulk emails. So that is covered in our support resources. But when you are putting together a renewal notice template, there are some key things you should think about including. Definitely the member's name. You want to make sure you're making it as personal as possible. Let them know the type of membership that they've got. Let them know the date that their current membership is going to expire, and then you want to give them a clear call to action to renew. If you're using Sumac for accepting membership signups and renewals through your website, that call to action should include a link to the membership renewal page on your website so that they can go right there. If you are not using Sumac for your online renewals, that's okay, but your call to action should tell the member how else they should contact you for renewals. So if the expectation is that they phone in to renew, or again, one day, hopefully soon, they get to come in person and process the renewal, you want to make sure that's a really clear call to action. Certainly the fastest way, if you are ever going to be doing these in person, if you're going to be renewing somebody by phone or something like that, the fastest way to process that renewal is to just find the previous year's membership and renew that one. So actually here, let's take a look at that. I won't get deeper into sending out the bulk email. Let's move along with the renewal. Let's say, for example, that Tina here has phoned in and is going to be renewing her membership with us. So what I would do, I found her membership. I just select it here in my membership list, and there's a big clear renew button here in the top left. So I click that button, and Sumac confirms which memberships I should be renewing. You can do it in bulk if you ever did, if you're one of those organizations who renews everybody in advance and then sends out the notices. Really nice to be able to renew them all in bulk instead of having to do it one by one. But for our example, we're going to do just Tina, so I'll choose selected. And then what Sumac does is it makes an exact copy of the previous year's membership. All the details from that previous year's membership have been retained for me. I can update anything here if I need to, but for most of the time, all of this stuff is going to be the same. Maybe she decided to make a donation this year when she didn't last year or something like that. But otherwise, all of that stuff is going to stay the same. I click OK. And once again, Sumac's going to prompt me for the payment details so I can enter her card information here, process the renewal right here, and then there we go, Tina's been renewed for the next year. Now, with that said here, I'm going to cancel out of this and just show you there that it's renewed the membership for Tina. But yeah, with all of that said, a lot of organizations have moved to online renewals instead of handling all of this stuff manually. So we do offer membership sign up and renewal pages for your website so that members can do all of this independently and have your Sumac database updated to reflect that after they've gone online to purchase or renew. In our last release, just last week, we introduced new membership pages that are more modern than our older style of web integration, and they provide a much better experience for your members online as well. So here, I'll pull up an example of that for you. Now, keep in mind, this is a sample page. I use it mostly for testing and demonstration purposes. So you'll see I've got this section up here at the top that it's letting me know I'm running this form in sandbox mode. That's basically our testing mode, and it lets me use this IATS credit card info, test info successfully on the web, unlike unsuccessfully, as you saw earlier, when manually processing it in the database. So this would not show on your own website. Instead, up here is going to be your banner, your logo, the banner with all of the buttons for the different pages on your website. But then this section down here is the new membership page. So all of these, I haven't done too much customization, so you can see what it looks like out of the box, but all of these membership options are pulled right from your database. So whatever the membership types you've got are, whatever the fees are, people can click the membership benefits to see what's included in this type of membership. So a really nice experience for people to be able to know exactly what they're getting based on the type of membership that they're purchasing. Next to each type of membership is a purchase option. So let's say somebody's coming online to purchase an individual membership. I click that button, and then it brings me to my next step. I can either log in to my existing membership account and renew, or I could create a new account. But for my example, let's use Tom. I've got a sample email and password for him. So we'll say that Tom is logging in, and where's his password here? There we go. I log in. And what's nice is you'll see as soon as I logged in as Tom, the page is now displaying some background information about Tom's previous membership. So it knows about the individual membership. It's letting him know exactly what's going to be happening for this new membership that he's purchasing here and what his total would be. Another really nice thing, and this is not something that was included in our previous web integration, it actually shows Tom his member info. So rather than just kind of going with whatever the previous member info was, if Tom has moved, if he's gotten a new phone number, anything like that since the last time he purchased his membership, all of that information gets presented really clearly for him so we can update that information. It's a really nice benefit for you as well, because it means that your members have that opportunity to update the contact info that's in your database, so you know your member info that you're working with in Sumac is as up to date as possible. Now, when I click Proceed to Review and Confirm, it brings me to this next page here where Tom can leave a comment, and he also has the option to add a donation to his membership. We also, in the last release, added the ability to cover the payment processing fee. So if somebody wanted to cover the processing fee for you, then that's included in this as well, and you don't have to worry about that afterward. So all of that is summarized for us here. I've got my summary down here of exactly what the fee is, what the taxes and other surcharges would be, and I proceed to payment. And then it brings up our card information. So I'll use that credit card info up here. Whoop, that's wrong. There we go. And I would purchase the membership there. So then it will process the payment. And of course, I'm going to get a decline on this one with my card information. Apologies for that. It would show a success message usually, and then it saves everything back into the database for you. When a member pays online, Sumac downloads all the membership transaction info into your database. It will also double check the database for duplicates. So just in case someone forgot to log in and purchased a new membership by mistake, Sumac can still catch that for you and make sure that the duplicates don't get created for that member. If you're interested in using any of these membership pages, you can let Penny know in the chat or in the Q&A. If you're already licensed for our membership integration, we can upgrade you to the new pages. Or if you aren't using our web integration yet, that's okay. Again, just let Penny know in the chat, and Sumac, Penny can connect you with our sales team to learn more about your options. But once it's part of your license, you just need to update your preferences for your database to turn this stuff on. And that brings me to membership preferences. We touched on this a little bit earlier, and I promised that we would circle back to that before the end of the webinar. So here, I'm going to minimize this and close out of the memberships list, because I do want to talk about a few membership preferences. In addition to the web integration stuff, there are many preferences that you can set for the memberships add-on that I find a lot of clients don't realize are available to them, and they can really improve your team's experience as you use Sumac for handling your memberships. So to review your membership preferences in Sumac, go into the Utilities menu and Customize Database, and then we click this Preferences button here. And that brings up the Preferences area, and I'm going to go to the Memberships tab. So you can see there's quite a lot of different membership preferences that you can set. Remember, you do have to be a Sumac administrator in order to edit the preferences for your database. So if you're not an administrator and you wanted to look into any of this, just connect with your administrator to go through it with them. But yeah, there are quite a few membership preferences to really tailor how Sumac is going to behave in the memberships area for you. This very first one is one we talked about earlier. It's that renewal complete checkbox in the membership records. If you're one of the organizations who's running more of an individual-based membership program, you're not, renewing people in advance of the expiry or anything like that. You just kind of, again, if you have a membership in the database, you're a member. You don't kind of start the renewal process before you've got the authorization. You can just remove this checkbox. It'll remove that renewal complete flag, and you won't have to worry about it moving forward. It'll hide it completely for you. These next ones are for household and organizational memberships. So if you turn on this preference here, what that's going to do is actually show the membership data in the History tab for all of the household members' contacts. So even though your main member might be just one of the parents or might be that household contact record, if you've got this preference turned on, that membership record will still show on each of the other household members' history tabs. Similarly, with this one, If you are offering organizational memberships, this preference is going to tell Sumac that it should show the organization's membership information on the contact history tab of all of their employees. So as an example, if you had Silent Partner Software as a member and this preference was set, it would mean that the membership record for Silent Partner Software would show on Megan Watson's history tab and as on Penny Rolinski's history tab as well, because we're both employees of Silent Partner. So if you are doing more of those kind of group-based memberships, those are two really handy preferences to use. Now, these next few are a bit more niche, so I'm going to jump over them. But what I really want to get to down here is this one. The membership fees are donations. Treat the whole membership as a donation. For some organizations, your membership fees may be tax receivable, but in Sumac, the only area where you can issue a formal tax receipt is in your donations list. That's where this preference comes in. If you turn on this checkbox, Sumac will know that the entire membership fee for all memberships should be treated like a donation. So Sumac will actually create donation records for each membership for the total amount of the membership fee. And that way, the membership record stores all the information you need about the membership, but the associated donation allows you to issue a tax receipt correctly. Keep in mind, like we talked about earlier, you can have like a separate donation amount. So it might not be that the entire membership fee is a donation, but somebody has added in a portion of a donation, or maybe that only part of the membership fee should be tax receivable. Sumac can handle either of those other scenarios as well, where it'll just create a separate donation record just for the amount of the donation and not the whole membership fee. Like if somebody had maybe you had a $50 membership and then somebody decides to make a $25 membership, or pardon me, donation at the time of purchasing it, then Sumac would create a donation just for that 25 donation amount. Now, with that in mind, with regards to the donations associated with memberships, that's what this next preference is for. It lets you specify a donation type to be used for donations associated with membership records. So usually I'll see something like member donation or membership even in some cases will be used. So whatever makes sense for your organization, just set a donation type for that and then choose it here. It's a real time saver, to be honest. If you don't set the preference here, you're going to be bugged every single time Sumac tries to save a donation along with that membership. So much more helpful to just set it here, set it once, and then Sumac knows what it should be doing moving forward. Now, next, further down here, we've got our preferences for the website integration. So this is where you would specify things like the default payment type that Sumac's going to use for online membership purchases and all the other information about the confirmation emails that would be sent. So when somebody purchases a membership online, Sumac saves it all to the database, but it does also send out a confirmation email to your members saying, thank you for your membership purchase. This is like basically a confirmation that the membership was purchased or renewed. So you can choose, what should the from name be? What should the email address it's coming from be? What's the subject line that we want to use for thing? And what's the confirmation email template? What do I want it to say? What do I want it to look like? So these are the preferences that you'll want to turn on when you're activating that web integration for memberships. We can help you with this as well. We do, again, have how-to videos and support resources that point you in the right direction for setting these sorts of templates and things up. But if you ever need help with anything like that, you know where to find our support team. We're happy to help with that anytime. And then finally, a little bit further down here, this is where we've got those auto renewal preferences. So that auto renew feature for memberships, again, it's something you can turn on or off based on how you want to use it. If you do want to turn it on, you just turn on this checkbox. These fields will become active. You can tell Sumac what time of day you want it to run. So what that means is, what time of day do you want Sumac to be checking for memberships that are up for auto renewal? If you want it to do that at 9 o'clock in the morning, set 9 a.m. there, and then that's the time slot that Sumac's going to use for checking for memberships that should be renewed. And along with that, when Sumac does actually perform the automatic renewals, it can email you a report of the memberships that got renewed automatically. This is where you would set the email addresses that you want that email report to be sent to. And you can also choose, do I want that report every day or only on days that renewals are actually processed? So just lets you set how you want that report to be distributed to yourself or to other members of your team. And then finally, again, confirmation email settings. When Sumac automatically renews a membership, it will also automatically send a confirmation email to the member. We have kept this separate. The message that you're sending to somebody right after they purchase your membership online, it's a different message than you want to send to people who have been renewed automatically because they opted in last year. So you can set a separate template for that so the message is really appropriate. And again, what's the display name, the from address, the subject line that you want for all of those things. So that's how if you want to incorporate any of those new features, if you want to get started with auto renewal, if you want to get started with web integration, or just otherwise tailor the behavior of the memberships area for your database, there's lots of preferences you can set here that really make it specific to you and behave the way that you want to use it. So that took us through a ton of stuff about membership preferences, but not least, certainly, we want to spend a little bit of time working on reporting. We've got all of this really rich, interesting membership information in our database. You want to be able to report on it too. So I'm going to cancel out of the memberships area, or pardon me, the preferences area, and go back into memberships here to talk about reporting a little bit. I find that although the reports are pretty self-explanatory, I've often talked to organizations who didn't know that these membership reports existed for them. So I thought I'd point out a few in particular that are really helpful. So in your memberships list, under Analyze and Report, that's where you are going to find all of the built-in reports for memberships. You can always run an ad hoc report, search for the memberships you're interested in, and then you could do an export or a print or something like that. But these are really nice for doing some calculations for you. Count by contact type, that will give you a count of all of your members based on their contact type in your database. But more than that, I really like the lapsed report, the monthly renewal report, and the retention report. So lapsed, this report lets you set 2 different time periods, and then Sumac is going to show you who was a member in the first time period, but not in the second. It'll compare that with people who were members in the second period, but not in the first. And it'll help you identify who's been a member in both time periods. So it's just a really nice way to get like a good lay of the land there. And then of course it will tally everything up in the bottom for you as well. So you know exactly how many members you had in the first time period and how many you had in the second. The monthly renewals report, this shows a monthly breakdown of the membership renewals, the donations that you've received along with those, and the new memberships by type of membership. So it's just a really nice breakdown of the membership renewals you're getting each month, a pretty aptly named report in that case. And retention. This report looks at the last 5 years and then summarizes the percentage of members who you've retained across those years. This one I'm actually going to show as an example, if you can bear with me for a second, because again, I find sometimes it's not always clear exactly how to read this report, so I thought I'd spend a bit of time and show it. When you run the report, you can choose to run it by calendar or fiscal year. For my example, I'm going to choose calendar, but you can do it however is appropriate for you. So when I expand this, it does break it down by each type of membership, which is really nice if you want to look specifically at your artist membership or your senior membership or your individual membership, whatever is appropriate there. Or at the very, very bottom of this report, it's going to show you all membership types. And keep in mind, this is just a demo database, so I don't have the same number of members you are likely to have in your own Sumac database. But what this shows us is each column here represents 1 year, the start of that calendar year in my case, or fiscal year if that's what you've selected. And how many did you have in each time period? So in this first column here, I've got 10 members who were new in January 2017. That's the number of new members I had in that year. The next year, 2018, all 10 of them renewed. So I had a 100% retention rate of my members from 2017 to 18. In 2019, only 7 of those 10 people renewed their membership. By 2020, only 6 of those members renewed. And by 2021, only 2 of those original 10 renewed their membership. So that's what it's showing you, like across the 5 years, people who became a member 5 years ago, and how many of them are still a member today. This next row here, in 2018, I had 13 new members. And by 2019, 10 of those had renewed. So I had a 76% renewal rate, or retention rate, pardon me. By 2020, 8 of those 13 people renewed. And by 2021, only 3 of them renewed, and so on and so forth. So it's a really neat report. And I find this diagonal view that you've got, I've seen a few people get tripped up and not really realize how interesting this is to see. But for the past 5 years, you can see exactly how many people you started with, and for each of them, how many are still members of your organization today. So that's a really neat report. I highly recommend digging into it. And again, you can look at different membership types and see exactly where your retention success rate is. I'm going to close out of here. There's one last report I want to point out. It's the auto renewal report. I mentioned earlier when we were looking in the preferences area that if you are using the auto renewal feature, Sumac will email you a report of the memberships that it takes care of renewing automatically for you. But every once in a while, you're going to want to look back. You know, you deleted the email, you don't have it in your inbox anymore. You want to look back at the memberships that Sumac renewed automatically. You can run that report anytime right from the memberships list right here. And also new as of last release, you probably noticed when you logged in last Wednesday that the dashboard looks a little bit different. The colors have been cleaned up, the text has been cleaned up, but we also added new membership summary dashlets as well. So in your dashboard, as soon as you log in, you do get to see a high level summary of your membership information. So we can see our new members, how many new members do I have this month, and how many new members do I have this year. And then that membership retention, this is actually just that one line from the membership retention report we looked at a moment ago. It looks at last year to this year, what's our retention rate? So it gives you that nice high level breakdown. But if you want more details on any of this or any other kind of perspectives on reporting on memberships, check out those built-in reports, because it really does do some very helpful calculation for you, much more helpful than running an ad hoc report and exporting it to Excel and trying to calculate everything that way. So yeah, that covers what I wanted to show in reporting, and we are just about at time here. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time and your engagement as we went through this session. Despite the little payment processing hiccups that we had, we covered a ton of ground. I hope that everyone has seen a little bit more about what's possible with memberships in Sumac, and that you're feeling more equipped to handle your membership program or incorporate some of these new features that we've released into your own membership program moving forward. And with that, I'm going to pass things back over to Penny to take care of a few final announcements.
Thank you, Megan. As always, great presentation. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We always love to see how many people sign up for these webinars. Do remember, we will be making a recording of this session available to all of our users in the coming days. So just go to your Sumac self-help portal and you can look for previous webinars, and there's a list there of all of our previous webinars and a link to them. And more importantly, there is a link in your Sumac dashboard, pardon me, that will take you directly to the Sumac webinar. So either one will work. All right, it will also show you any upcoming webinars so that you can register. So it's very useful. Okay, one last thing I want to mention, and I'm just going to fire off a quick link in our chat, is that Silent Partner Software is currently offering a promotion for our Partner HR software. It's an online people management software app for nonprofits specifically. So having been there, if you're tired of using spreadsheets to manage your staff and your volunteer hours and try to keep track of who has time off owing when and when they can take time off, Partner HR would be a very useful tool. I would have killed for it when I was still working in the not-for-profit sector. So as I say, I've just sent you the link in the chat. That will take you to the website where you can look for more information, but more importantly, you can sign up for a free month trial that we are offering. So you can get started that way, or you can actually just reach out to our team at satisfaction@silentpartnersoftware.com, and we'll point you in the right direction, whatever works for you. And with that, thank you, everyone, again, for taking time to visit with us today and learn a little bit about memberships. Whether you joined us over your lunch break or morning coffee, depending on where you are in the country, we're very glad that you joined us. Thank you for choosing Sumac as your CRM. Have a happy Friday, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, everybody.